and Alimau deciding to do some trash talk. They're not playing each other today, but G2's got to save some of that energy for this game because BDS, Jesse, has been a bit of a surprise so far through the first day of games.
No, you're absolutely right, Parker. I think a lot of people had BDS kind of come in as this like fourth European team. Who knows how good they're going to do, but they played really well yesterday. Despite going 1-1, they had a really strong contest to end out the day. It definitely felt like they could have gone 2-0, but here they are now up against the Titans from Europe. G2 won both contests when these two faced off against each other in Stage 2. They beat them in groups, they beat them in playoffs, and it's kind of surprising to me that we're heading to Bank. The Deaths touched on it, but these two teams faced each other on Bank. It was G2's map pick in the EML playoffs, and they won it 7-5. So a bit of history might suggest that G2 are coming out on top. Already, we got the operator bands coming out. Maybe not thrilled about the Kaid band coming through, and then we pair it up with a Castle, which is quite interesting to see here on Bank. Very strong operator for holding down that top floor, locking it down. Attackers will remove both the Ying and the Monty, which leaves up all the ranged hard breach that often gets targeted on a map like Bank.
Yeah, I don't hate these bans. Leaving up the hard breachers is going to make it more difficult to defend that bottom floor bomb site, which will be where G2 decides to go right off the rip. So down to lockers they will go. No Kaid will make defending these hatches a relatively impossible task, as you see from the operators brought by G2.
Yeah.
They're not even going to try. They're just going to leave the hatches as is. I imagine from the lineup that we see on the side of G2, this will be a roam setup for a couple. You've got the Tachanka, obviously, and the Echo. Tachanka has become quite a staple on this map, Jesse. And he's actually supplanted a smoke play for a lot of these teams. Now, smoke is available. G2 making a deliberate choice not to run what has historically been one of the strongest operators on this bomb site. Another notable operator absent is Goyo.
Yeah. Yeah, Goyo can be really strong. It is hard countered by Twitch, and if we do see a Goyo, Twitch is always quick to follow. But teams like running this kind of strategy with the Tachanka instead. A lot of teams will run that Tachanka starting off at the top floor on elevators. You're hoping you don't die there. Blad's playing the position currently, where then he'll try to fall back off and maybe play more with the team, shoot a couple of drones. I know Furia really likes to do this strategy. You can see his outline there on your screen now. So going to be exciting to see what Blaz can do from that point of view, but nobody else really roaming too heavily. Stompin' and Archives maybe the most aggressive player, and he's getting looked at by Robbie just at the top of square right now. Doesn't have the greatest way to escape.
But he has Lawyer watching at the top of blue. Jesse, it's not just going to be about regular games here at the Major. There's also SI qualification on the board. So a win here against BDS will all but certainly lock in G2. They have 1% chance that they wouldn't make it to SI, which at that point is, it's probably not going to happen. So BDS has a bit of a harder hill to climb. They were only at 40% with a victory there. Freck's going to die real early to Blaz. That's the Deimos off the board, an operator that you tend to see on the front lines and often the first kill or casualty. On the side of BDS, it's the latter.
Yeah, and I like this from Stompin'. As soon as his teammate gets a kill, you know you have man advantage, retreat back to site. You don't have to risk dying up here. You go down to 4-on-4. That would be a real tough situation. So smart from Stompin' to retreat. You do have to open the hatch. You weren't able to reinforce it for that rotate, but I think that's totally fine. With the Kaid ban and no hard breach bans, it was going to get opened up anyways. So maybe you lose a tiny bit of time, but it's a good retreat from Stompin'. Everyone can now play inside the site. Be a little bit of pause here in the action now as BDS start to clear out the utility, get the hatches open. I'm looking at the util they have on them, Parker, and I do like what I see. Smokes from Lazmu, a lot of displacement with both the Grim and the Capitao. It's going to mean that some positions inside the site will be really awkward to play for G2, and they might want to kind of get aggressive to increase their advantage before they get to that point.
See, they're just stalling and wasting as much utility as possible. This is an intriguing play by Loira. He had the assistance of the Yokai drone, but Robbie still capitalizes off of that, and it's a nice answer back from BDS. But they need to be very wary of this clock, Jesse. Just 45 seconds remain, and it will continue to tick away from BDS. We did see BDS have some issues with aggression and getting into the site. That middle portion of the round onward yesterday was a bit sluggish for them. No Goyo canisters mean that the fire will have to be applied a different way. There's Capitaos on the board for BDS, so those Fire bolts can be thrown out from the side of the attackers, and from the defenders the same, but Robbie just walks right in. Alimount dies. What is happening? Stompin, the only one able to shut him down. Traded out by P4, and what was a terrific start to this round has completely collapsed at this point, leaving just Doki, who's now spotted and killed by Virtue. P4 looked like he was in on it as well, as there was multiple players staring in his direction. Diffuser almost got planted at the same time. Robbie just waltzing into the site and slaughtering 2 players completely turned the tide of that round.
Yeah, absolutely. The Italian stallion doing it the most here in Munich, doing a great job of making that entry. I believe he got 3 kills total in that round, 2 in the execute, 1 earlier on as well from Robbie. So massive play from him. He had a 10.0 kill-death ratio in their opening game against Space Station yesterday. Went 10-1 in that matchup, and you see how good he was here. Just making that space for his team, walking down blue. You do have to maybe look at the Azami playing those server stairs as well. I know Loira is a great player in that position, but he often plays some different operators there. You've seen him play the smokes, the mute in the past, sometimes what he wants to bring out to that bomb site. The Azami can be tough sometimes when you're playing at the top of the stairs. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do more than he already did.
Loira is also the lowest rated player in this entire match.
Yes.
Which is quite a shocker given Loira's prominence. I mean, I remember when Loira was a highly touted up-and-coming player over in Brazil before being imported towards G2. You have to imagine that the Brazilian connection at G2 played a big role. But yeah, Loira really underperforming his numbers so far.
Yeah, for sure. And he had a great stage too. So I think it's just opening day of the tournament, maybe some jitters, maybe just getting warmed up. I expect Loira to still be a big part of G2 during this tournament run. I don't expect him to continue to play as he did for the first couple of games, and he's not, you know, completely underwater. He went 13-19, so he still was performing well in some rounds yesterday, but we are expecting more from him today.
Very important here in Munich that you keep your head above water.
Yes, that's our motto for the event. Well tied in, Parker. I like that. I like that.
Somebody in the audience you just know is like, oh my god, it is water themed. After seeing the fact that there's rising tides in the bars of the numbers in between rounds and in between matches. And
yeah, and listen, I don't want to spoil anything, but when we get to main stage, ooh, there's excellent theming going on.
What Jesse is saying is they're actually going to fill the entire arena with water. So bring your swim trunks here. Oh my goodness, yet again, Robbie finds an opening. It's exploited right away. Loira has been target dummy through 2 rounds. And now Robbie will aggress up to the smoke. Has him completely turned around. Blaz killing Alimau amidst the chaos, but G2 does come ahead in kills. Not that they haven't lost the smoke and
yeah.
Janari.
Awkward operators to lose. Blaz was the last guy alive on the top floor, and he just falls off now back to open area. So it's going to be a 3v3 when we do get to that execute. I think you're happy with that if you're BDS. It's effectively 2 kills from Robbie. That team kill was caused by the chaos that, he was providing. That's mine. That's valid. That's valid. Effective 5-2 start from Robbie. Extremely good from the top frag of BDS, their primary entry player. But now they've got to do work on executing into the bomb site. They've still got Freck on that Ram, who can do so much good work on the soft destruction. They've still got Virtue on the Ace as well, which can be really important if you are going for a square take. He's already used 2 of his Selmas to help his teammates clear the top floor. I believe that was from the lobby repel, so you won't have full utility going in for this, but I do like what they have. Valcams are going to be a bit of an issue. I see one side of the office hallway that Alimau is currently staring at, so be careful about that. But with the Nitro already expended too, it's not like they're going to be able to deny the plant with the big C4. They're going to have to take these gunfights because it's likely BDS will have a good point to get into the site and plant.
Yeah, there's a good likelihood that BDS could take it.
That's a throwback. I like it.
It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
It's our good friend Caliber Jacob. He was actually casting with Iconic at the DreamHack Atlanta Siege event that was just a couple weeks ago. Or just last week, actually. Blaz now the next casualty in line. G2's defense here on Bank, notwithstanding scrutiny whatsoever. Doki in a clutcher kick scenario for the 2nd time in a row, just narrowly evading the bullets from the R4C in the hands of Freck, and he almost gets both of them, only good enough for one. Freck secures the round after the diffuser goes down, and BDS is off to a 2-0 start.
And nice try by Doki there. Came so close to clutching it up. We've seen him do so many incredible things like that throughout the years. This is his 15th S-tier event, nearly all of them now with G2, a couple with Na'Vi at the start of his career, but he's been incredible for this team in the past.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, he won Tokonami with Na'Vi, but
No.
maybe he's suspended. Maybe he was suspended from play.
Wasn't quite on the roster for that one.
No, but he was definitely there for some kind of moral support. I don't know. Those beers aren't gonna drink themselves. So.
Yeah, pure chaos on this top floor clear. But from what we saw from BDS yesterday, I mean, we casted both of their games. They like a lot of these chaotic pushes where things do get a little scrappy, they get a little wild. But even that execute, I thought you saw the coordination. There are still players acting at the same time. One from printer window, one coming in from the doorway from the hall. So you've still got two plays happening. They're disconnected, they're on different parts of the map, but they're happening at the same time. They're still being played together, and it really does pull the attention away from G2. I think they got to find some way to halt the aggression in the early game so they can get set up for a late round advantage, because both times the executes happened, it's been even man counts and BDS have come out on top.
It really is quite striking that in the most recent round we watched, BDS waltzed in. Robbie got the kill, blew the round wide open, effectively got a second kill.
Yeah.
But in round number 1, G2 struck first, but it didn't feel like they gained anything from that because immediately Lawyer got traded back on blue stairs. They asserted themselves inside a server on the side of BDS. They then carried that forward, transitioning back up top to pinching all of those hatches in open area, and then Robbie just continuing to move forward.
Yeah.
And G2 gained nothing from that. It felt like even when you drew first blood, it was still an even 4v4, even though it took about 35, 45 seconds for Loira to die. So just a bit of a feckless roam from G2 that they're going to need to tighten up.
Well, third time's the charm, at least that's what Loira's hoping for. He gets caught on a drone. Another thing that BDS was doing really well yesterday was their drone game, and I think we're seeing that again today. They've been very proficient at catching players, not letting players recognize when they're on drone, and they got quite a few free kills in their lair matchup that we were watching just the other day. So, gonna be interesting to see if that does keep up. They spotted Loira a little while ago. They know he's down here, and job number 1 in this round is going to be to take him out.
Zofia is an operator that doesn't see quite the amount of play that she used to, but still has some good application here. That lifeline not just good for explosives, which are very much in the meta at the moment, but additionally, you can use those concussives very effectively as a roam clear or identification tool. P4 will swing in, Doki goes down, Blaz follows. Nothing slowing this BDS assault down, and with over a minute to go, BDS will now isolate these off-site players, and they have pretty good control. Stompin will creep his way back to the bomb site. He's got Loira side by side, and there's Loira finally on the board, shredding P4, who was playing over that position by Banana. Freck will need to go on in with Virtue as Robbie gets cut down, and this mid-round for G2 has been much better than the previous two.
Yeah, that move from Loira, absolutely huge to get the numbers back. Stomping a big kill in the midst of that too, leaves just Freck and Virtue alive, and Virtue's on the roof. So they've got to find some way to reconnect with one another. The Spider-Man repel doesn't go the way for the Australian. Used to be an upside down, but this time he's not able to get a kill with it. Thankfully, Freck and him can regroup, and they've got a decent bit of time. 35 seconds now to redecide where they want to go for this push. The fuse kit was dropped towards the front side of the bomb site towards lobby, so that's where the push is going to end up. It's a long rotate as they move their way over. It's going to be a very late finish coming in from BDS.
Reloading.
Only 10 seconds left. And G2 is really well positioned here to catch both of these players. Virtue and Freck will have to play these angles perfectly. Virtue finds 2. He needs just 1 more. Ali Mal hiding, and there's no way that Virtue's gonna get him in time. I was way too close to end there, but Carl, our good friend Carl, you can't just hide like that. But indeed he does, and G2 wins their first round.
It's a smart play from the captain of G2 and former captain of Virtue in the 1v1. Were teammates on this G2 squad a couple years ago, won a world championship together, and then eventually did decide to remove Virtue from that lineup, went to Secret for a while, and then now finds himself here on BDS. It's been really nice to see his evolution as a player. Hasn't always had the luckiest of times, has been struggling in certain moments, but still good to see him succeeding.
So we can go basement difficult Dallas, but it's like, guys, what I want to ask for you guys, like, is more proactive, okay? In the beginning of the round 5v5, like, let's be proactive, like, to take the open kill, like, fuck the execute. Let's not play so pussy, okay? And it's the same in the late rounds, like, we lost the two first rounds because, like, we are scared to play. We are just letting they execute on us, like, and communicate better. Also, the aims we need. We always need garage. Doesn't matter, like, if they don't go garage, like, we always need garage to hold the deep push. So don't forget these fundamentals, like, basic fundamentals, okay? So, like, let's be proactive in the beginning of the round, like, to take the opening kills, and then, like, also, like, don't be scared if they don't do virtual new. Stay in the archives. We don't give a fuck, like, if it's a turtle strat, like, if they don't do virtual new, they need to push doors, you know. So, like, I trust you to hold the doors, you know. You are so good, like, don't be afraid to stay there, okay? Let's go, guys.
Okay. The default is the one I play smoke.
It is, Logan.
That's Ramalho, the coach of G2, giving some words to his players after they go down 2-1 through the first quarter. Wants them to be a bit more proactive in the early round, and this is kind of what I was saying after that second round too. They can get a little bit more active. They can deny some of that space to BDS. It might lend the rounds to be closer in their favor. Felt like they were able to bounce back. I mean, it was that real mid-round where they came alive for the top floor defense, but I think there's still plenty to be talking about. You heard it from Ramalho, some wise words coming in, and hopefully will turn the tide for G2.
Bank was the second most played map in Stage 2 for the EML, and it is a 50-50 map. So really nothing to be gained from either side at this point. You have to factor in the way that the teams play. You have to factor in this is a LAN environment, and you have to look at the operator bans. I don't think the Valkyrie or the Capitao bans are going to have such a profound impact in comparison to maybe some other games that we've seen where a Dokkaebi will dominate for 3 rounds, then you get rid of her, or you see that there's an ace being brought time and time again, and you decide to remove him from action. So nothing that I've seen through these 3 rounds leads me to believe these 2 ops being taken off of the board, both one on attack and one on defense, will really hinder their opponents. Though the Valkyrie is a staple on a map like Bank, Valkyrie typically gains more value the larger the map is. It means that you either have to bring an IQ to find those Valkyrie cameras or just suffer through it being hidden just about anywhere on a cavernous map like Bank. And again, second most played map in EML last stage. It's familiar territory for both of these teams.
And once again, you see the strong droning coming out from BDS. It's been a strength from this team ever since this tournament began and through Stage 2 regionally too. Lasmu was on the Capitao last time they came to this bomb site. He's had to swap over to the Sens with the ban coming through, and Stompin knows he's being heavily pressured right now.
It's the exact same lineup that they had last time, right? Stompin on a tear, gunning down Robbie and Freck. The fadeaway Nitro cell nets nothing, and now it's P4 with the LMG in hand. Staring into archives, waiting very patiently for Stompin to re-emerge. From the player cam reactions we had, Stompin listening quite intently in that timeout. P4 just missing a golden opportunity on the Stompin, who's now in a bit of a harder spot to get out of. Limb damage means that this might not be the end of Stompin, but the more time that is wasted here, the worse it's going to get for BDS. They cannot stall out, especially since they're already down by 1.
He's wasting so much time, Parker. He's constantly on a drone, but he's somehow still alive. Finally cleaned up by Lasmu, but with 2 kills and more than a minute and a half wasted off the clock, Stompin has done so much work, and the roam game's not even over. Alamau's here on main stairs. Doki's pretty deep in open area too, so don't think that this round's going to get any easier for BDS.
Not to shine too bright of a spotlight on Stompin, but also those mute jammers, either assisting on the roam upstairs, wasting even more time, or who knows how many of those mute jammers will be down below, which will deprive BDS of information when push comes to shove. Mute, a tremendous operator for a number of reasons, but if you're going to roam as that British op, and then you're going to put your mute jammers around the bomb site, not only are you wasting time off-site, but you're then wasting time on-site when push comes to shove.
40 seconds left. My eyes are on P4. I want to know where these doors are going to shut things down in the side of the site. Last time he attacked this site, he was on the IQ, so this is a bit of a new adjustment. Might not use them, but it can be really effective to close out some of those angles deep in the hallway.
P4 was the best rated player on this team yesterday, which is uncharacteristic of BDS. He was the lowest rated player on the team through Stage 2, but he's a LAN player. He's a big game player. You'll need a big moment from him now. Aurora still with full utility and will look to close off some of these doors, making it harder for the defenders to get to the bomb site. Amidst the cover of smoke, Lasmo with diffuser in hand, and now the coverage from above is good. Virtue punishing Doki. He was last man standing. Last time around, a second from Virtue, and the man himself, P4, with the final kill to send BDS away. G2 mustered a single round, but the lead goes back to 2 as BDS up 3-1.
And frankly, such a cool execute, Parker. You're able to add a new plant spot to that bomb site. Usually you're planting on that site, you're going to go tucked into door from server, or you're going to go behind the bomb chassis, or maybe you're going to go deep on the pillar. It's quite rare to see a plant that deep because of the doorway that goes to the hall, of course. But with P4 able to close that doorway, it gives him a new plant spot for Lazmu to go to, uses the Sense Wall to get into that position, and then some brilliant shots from Virtue to end things out, have some really good coverage from the hatch. That's just an excellent game plan coming out from BDS, and it really seems like they're a much better bank team than they were in the regular season. Coming into this matchup, they had a 1-4 record on this map since the beginning of Reload, since the season began. They're on a 3-game losing streak on bank, most recently losing it to G2 in the EML playoffs. So this looks like a whole new team on bank. They seem extremely ready for all 3 bomb sites, and now they'll get tested as on a 4th as G2 go to Archives and Tellers.
This is very similar to what we said about their matchup against Secret yesterday. BDS just only wanting to play EML teams, it would seem. Which is a bit bizarre because out of all the EML teams that did show up at this event, BDS is the lowest on the depth chart and yet almost beat Secret yesterday. You referenced the stats when we were in the middle of the match. That Secret has owned BDS, just like how Wildcard owns SSG. In these interregional matchups, it's really hard to shake that when you come to an international event because you can take the players out of EML, but you can't take the EML out of the players. But here, BDS looking rejuvenated. And again, P4 has been the big story for me. Virtue having a great game so far here. P4 and Virtue were among the lowest rated players game after game after game in EML because that's what roles they play on, not because they're unskilled, but because their roles do not necessitate kills.
Yeah, it's incredible how skilled Virtue is, especially at this point in his career. He turned 31 last week, making him the oldest professional player in the world and still half a decade younger than you are, Parker. So it's incredible to see him putting on such a clinic here at the Munich Major.
You know, I'm really hoping that when they fill the arena up with water that you go missing.
Wow.
We will sacrifice Jesse to German Poseidon. I think it's a small price to pay for a good event. What do you think?
Sure, for the show.
And a swing in now to capitalize off of these logic bombs. Lazmo on the precipice of the bomb site. He barges his way in. P4 on the board first, but there's a Capkin too. That might not have been accounted for. It claims a single player, and now a great setup as BDS will get Diffuser down. Freck on a single point of HP, but he is perfectly protected in this bomb site. Only 3 remain for G2, but they hit their marks and they've taken the lead in numbers. It's all up to Virtue, who's far away on square and will have to contend with 3 players. Blaz hops on the defuse kit, locked out by Lyra. Blaz just needs to wait another second. He falls off. Virtue unable to get it. Blaz will hop right back on, and our good friend Carl will get the final kill. G2 survives in a bit of an unpredictable rush. The mid-round, yet again, a problem for BDS. G2 within 1.
Yeah, nice little reaction from G2 coming out there. BDS, I thought they had it once they got in from square. They got that plant down as a fast push coming out from them, and there were some casualties to the Capcans, but ultimately they were winning their gunfights when they got into the bomb site, but they took a lot of damage in the midst of that. Blaz, Loira, Alamau lining up for 1, 2, 3 kills, leaving it just to the veteran to try to hold it down for BDS in the 1v3, but not quite going to be doable for Virtue this time around, and G2 pull this one back, which is, I think, important. You can't be going down in your first half of bank 5-1 or even 4-2 when you're starting on this defensive side. It can be a 50-50 map, but the thing I find with bank is you've got some bomb sites, particularly the basement, which are very strong for the defense, and then the other bomb sites are a little tougher to hold. You already see G2 resorting to that 4th site because there aren't a ton of great options otherwise, right? So it can be awkward sometimes. You kind of need a minimum 2 rounds on this map, I think, as the defenders, but 3 really will make you feel a lot safer.
Yeah, 3-3 score line would match up with the map stats that we see so far. So G2 doing it on a bit of an unorthodox bomb site. Teller's Office and Archives is about as popular as facing an entire shield lineup in ranked. So People don't really want to go there for good reason. I like the idea behind what BDS was doing, but a very linear execute, a quick push into archives, and it was read effectively by G2. I mean, if you're going to go to that bomb site, you know that it's prone to rushes. If a team is not going to go for a full clear and take over top of the site, then they're just going to hit it directly. That's exactly what BDS did. What better operator to tackle that than a Capcan? You can add a Legion in there. Both of those operators are great at slowing down rushes. Obviously, the Capcan had a profound impact, and I don't think BDS was expecting it.
Wow, G2 will go to the only bomb site they won in the first 3 rounds. That's top floor, and they've brought the exact same defensive setup to try to repeat the result. But BDS are going for a very different look on their attack. Last time they went up the lobby stairs, it was very much a front take, and it kind of fell to pieces, got a little scrappy in the end. The fact that P4 is on the Thermite is your first immediate sign that they're going to be going in through top square. The player positioning will confirm that now. And the goal is going to be to get a plant down under smoke with coverage from the windows. My eyes are also going to be on Freck and Lasmu. What are they going to do aggressively to try to pressure those players in towards Janitor? Always a battle between what do you focus on as a defensive team? Do you stop the plant or do you stop the players coming in to kill you?
One of the little tricks of a thermite charge is if you put it close enough to a wall, it has an explosive radius that is circular. If you were newer to Rainbow Six Siege, you might be confused.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So that's not good.
That's the second team kill Robbie has prompted.
Blaz will now find himself in a 1v5 because of a bunch of team kills. And BDS will be very receptive to that one. 3-3 was what we said would be possible, but no, a very befuddling round. And we will scratch our heads as we go to the second half here. 4-2 the scoreline for BDS off of what might be one of the sloppier rounds that we've seen through Munich. Admittedly, we're a day and a match in, but that's now, to keep with the puns, that's a high water mark for these games.
Absolutely it is, Parker, and a really strong start to come out from BDS, winning 4 of their 6 attacks to start this game. And we saw a lot of, honestly, strong shield play coming out from Robbie. I think that blitz that he had to push the top floor, whether the bomb site was there or whether it was a floor down below, was really impactful. I mentioned it briefly, but 2 team kills for G2, and both of them were while a defender was trying to shoot Robbie on the shield. So the disruption he's causing has been really important to help BDS get some of these round wins. Also really good work from the rest of the team to push in from square all together, have that impact as a team. Weren't overly focused on the plant, which I think a lot of teams in a push like that would be. You kind of rein in your aggression a little bit. You focus too much on getting the kit down, and then you just get swung and you die. But BDS happy to take that aggressively. Now moving on to the defense, they have a chance to do the same thing. Keep playing aggressive, get up there on the roam, and challenge G2 head on.
Well, here's some good news if you're a BDS fan. BDS has already beaten their scoreline from the last time they played G2 on this map, all the way back in the 6th week of EML. Numbers are hard, but it was September 29th. Jesus.
Something big just happened.
10 seconds left before insertion.
I hope it's coming across on the microphones, because if not, it just sounds like we're pausing for dramatic effect. That's not the case.
Oh, boy.
The A stream is located very close to the teams that are competing, so we can hear their banter back and forth, and there was just an eruption from the bullpen of the other team. So that was in, Jesse, that the last time they played Bank was in the EML playoffs, and that was obviously a G2 7-5 victory. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
When they played back in the regular group stages, which was just a singular best of 1.
Yep.
It was a 7-3 for G2. So G2 obviously having the upper hand here on this map. But BDS have taken 4 rounds, doing it primarily on attack. They were a better defending team when they played the best of 1 against G2. So that does bode well for BDS moving forward. Loira walking in and killing 2 people very quickly and then immediately running out of server in the first 10-15 seconds obviously does not bode well for BDS, especially since it's both Freck and P4. P4 in particular, who again entered today as the highest rated player on BDS, though I don't suspect that stat will hold for very long.
No, I think he's going to go back to his main role, which as an IGL is going to be a little bit lower rated in the statistics, but it's been excellent from Loira just to push Dirt Tunnel and put his team in such an advantageous situation. These last 3 players on BDS, they really don't have a good move ahead available to them because they're all stuck in the basement at the moment. They're going to be getting tracked by this Deimos. They're going to be called by this Dokkaebi. There is really a tough prospect for them right now. Yeah,
you're going to get bled dry by G2 here just based on utility. Now, just because you have that utility does not mean it's going to be used appropriately. But I mean, when you've got a Glaz on the board, when you've got the Capitao on the board, when you've got the Deimos on the board, you've got the last Logic Bomb going out right now, things are going to get real challenging for the remaining players on the side of BDS. They're hoping for this Nitro Cell to collect.
Wow.
And it will. The soul of Blaz gone at the hands of Robbie. Robbie has been very strong, Jesse, at striking first. And BDS leading the way with opening picks. They've been great, but Lawyer over the last 2 rounds, striking first, very good. BDS need to be good through the mid-round, which was a bit of their Achilles heel when they were on attack.
Yeah, that's the fuse get dropped as well as Blaz goes down, so they're going to have to recover that. They just did so as Stompin picks it up and open the area, but now the question becomes, are you even going to get this hatch open? It gets stalled with the 2 round. There's still 2 more in Robbie's pocket, so this is not going to open for quite some time. The server wall stays closed as well, and they are out of hard breach with that Maverick dying and the last can opener being used on the hatch. So an awkward push coming in now from G2 with the advantage.
And there's still 2 gas canisters in pocket for Virtue with his team leading 8 kills, not just team leading, but server leading at this point. 20 seconds to wait out that yellow smoke. As the Glaz will respond himself, looking for a little bit of yellow, but that's the outline of the defenders. Down goes Lasmo, and the bleeding for BDS has not slowed down. Virtue will pick out Alimau. Diffuser has been dropped. Stompin is down as well. Now Loira will have to get Stompin up. They are running out of time. With a numbers advantage, G2 will hold on to this bomb site. Stompin takes down Robbie, and it's all up to Virtue, who gets picked apart by Doki, sitting inside of lockers. G2 narrows the gap by 1 more round.
And I think that round shows the experience on the side of G2, because that is not an easy round to win. They didn't have the walls open. They lost a couple of important bodies. Stompin drops the hatch, immediately goes down. They lose a player. They're Glaz inside a server too. So it gets really scrappy in the midst of that. And then Loira with the defuse kit, less than 10 seconds to go. He's got to sprint into the bomb site. He's got to pick up the defuse kit. He's coming in from garage, mind you. Then he's got to pick up Stompin. Then he's got to start the plant and has time for all of that. And if he makes even 1 wrong decision in the midst of that round, I don't think we see the same result from G2. That, of course, all comes after Loira got the massive 2K to start that round off in through Dirt Tunnel as well. So a huge round coming in from the Brazilian on G2. An exceptional play coming out from him, and it gets G2 real back into this game.
You can never count this G2 roster out. Lots of weapons at their disposal. And while they might not have been the most dominant team to emerge from EML, and are certainly not the most dominant team up to this point, as they find themselves in this 1-1 situation. That's 1 victory and 1 loss yesterday in their games. You still gotta fear this G2 team. Loira was quite bad to start off this series. He was the lowest rated player coming into this game as well in the entire lobby, which for him is really quite outside the norm. But would you look at that, he's now tying Doki for the team lead in kills. All it took was a little bit of time. Maybe he's just not a morning player. Maybe he needed 2:45 in the afternoon for him to finally wake up.
Listen, we all got our rituals, and sometimes you go to LAN, that gets disrupted a little bit. It's serious. Sometimes that does make a big difference.
To the point about P4, though, not only is he the team leader, he entered today the 7th highest rated player in the standings. Now, a lot of that was the game against, I want to say, Secret, where I think he dropped 11 kills or something along those lines, if memory serves correctly. You'd have to check the numbers, but it was Robbie, the star of map number 1, and obviously P4 picked it up for map number 2. This is going to be a quick one. Loira rushing in. Doki, the first casualty, rebuffed by Freck. Robbie also guns down Stompin. And now a bit of disorientation from the Yokai. Virtue knows the position of the Ying of Loira. Blaz has found an opening and 2 kills for his trouble. But the road will end with the clash appearing, and Lasmo will slow down the Nook. Now through the window, Alamau guns down P4, who's caught with his pants down over by Square. Battering the clash around. P4. BDS, Lasmo, all going down. It's Robbie in a 1v2. BDS's mid-rounds have failed them on attack and look like they might do the same here, but oh my goodness, Blaz missing an easy opportunity. And now it's Robbie against Alimau in a 1v1. Robbie looking to break double digits for what would be the 2nd time in 3 games here at Munich. A single kill away, staring down Carl, and he gets some 10 kills for Robbie. BDS goes back up by 2.
And ridiculous play coming through from Robbie. He goes to stock in that 1v1 because that's where the defuse kit got dropped. There's nothing that Alamau can do other than challenge him in that moment because he can't go to site. Defuse kit's being held by him. Really nicely done.
Timeout from BDS.
I just want us to chill a little bit. This is good. You guys are playing good. You guys have the right ideas. We're just getting into our heads a little bit, okay? There's a little bit of nerves, there's a little bit of just precipitation, intensity in the voices that are not necessary in those moments. Let's try to breathe a little bit, calm down. You guys are doing good, you got this. You got this, you're dominating the game, okay?
Yep.
No pressure on your shoulders, have fun, you're doing great, really, doing great.
Yep. Let's go, guys.
Let's talk a little bit about next
reset this round.
Like our start rounds are so good, we just need to have a plan in the middle, bro. Yeah, we go open.
Yeah, we just need to stop spamming calls in the middle as well. Yeah.
Good job, Rob.
Same, bro.
Thank you for last round, Rob. Good job.
Voila, bro. Let's go open.
Liloon anchoring the emotions on this team and a nice calming voice with both her and Virtue. Just from an audio perspective, I'd love to listen to both of them nonstop. But I mean, BDS also came into this tournament with a huge support staff. It's not just Liloon. Behind the scenes, they also have Furious G, former player, former caster, and Helby as well. And they work hard. They are prepared for this game. I think they're right. G2 have their hands full.
Yeah, no, it's been really good from BDS this whole tournament. You can see how much prep they've been putting into it, and it's certainly paying off. That tag timeout, of course, it does give G2 a chance to talk with themselves as well. Hopefully calm the nerves on BDS, but with things not going so well for G2, it gives them another opportunity perhaps to talk about some of these pushes. And listen, there's a bit of a dirty word on broadcast in Siege when it comes to G2, and that's split theory that we at times have talked about on this show, and it's been a strategy that I know G2 have been somewhat famous for.
Sorry, my eyes just glazed over and I blacked out in a fit of rage.
I'm not going to go into it, but that last push was a real example where G2 had multiple different entry points all coming from different parts of the map, and it was a very solo push where they lost all those individual parts. I'd like to see them maybe group up a bit more on this next attack, try to play more together so that if they do lose some of those opening engagements, they can at least get traded out.
The one thing I will say about this G2 team was in their 2 matches yesterday, they were quite compressed when it comes to kills and KD. They've all been matching each other pretty equally. The same thing is happening here today. Alimau and Stompin are on the bottom with 4 kills. Blaz is on top with 7 kills. There's no bad performers on G2 that are standing out, but the problem, Jesse, is nobody is taking over these games. Obviously, in their comeback yesterday against CAG, G2 had some great performances. Stompin in particular, that clutch that was shared quite widely on social media, is something to be proud of, but G2 are really lacking those Hercules hero moments, and I think it's kind of hurting them.
Well, could be an opportunity here, top of square. We've got a couple players on G2. Freck holding a devious angle if they do start to walk in.
That's a tilter.
Pulls off at the moment, though, so he's not going to be playing that spot if the push comes through top.
Doki had the right idea, and Lasmo dies. So does Virtue. Are they not aware of how close G2 is? Now a circle around from P4, but he's a little bit too late. The bomb site is downstairs, but all this action occurring up top. Doki will go for the reload. P4 is not too far removed. All 3 death marks in pocket for Doki. There goes Freck. G2 have not been able to find anything. Doki dies with full utility, and P4 will now need to clutch out. But Loira sprays through the smoke, and G2 is back on the board. A bit of an oddity for them to call a timeout on the side of BDS after a successful round. But you heard Liloon say, we're doing great. You just need to settle your nerves down. They immediately lose the next round. That's not the intended effect of a timeout.
No, not ideal, but it comes off a great push from G2 as well. You know, pushing through that top floor. I think Doki on the Deimos really opened things up. At one point, I've called Doki the best Deimos player in the world. I think a lot of other players have gotten very good with Deimos, and it's a tough competition at this point, but Doki is still, no doubt, one of the best Deimos players that we have in Siege. Only played the Operator a single time yesterday. He's played it twice through 3 attacking rounds today, so seemingly want to bring a bit more of that to his game here on G2. I was a little surprised that he won his gunfight even under the cover of that Fenrir gadget, right, up on the top floor, but Lasmu just unfortunately not able to capitalize on that utility, and Doki's always going to hit those shots when you give him the opportunity. So nice little entry points coming from G2, and again, still in this game and fighting hard.
Didn't expect either of these teams to go quietly into the night, so a bloodbath it is. A reminder of how the way Swiss system works, because people might be a little confused as to how these teams do battle here at the Major. Basically, when you get matched up against your opponent, you have to wait for all the other games to finish to know who you're going to play.
Yep.
There is reseeding that is being done after every single match, and it's automatic. We have no way to tip the scales ourselves, nor would we want to. So basically what will happen is if BDS wins, they go up 2-1, and they find themselves in a position where they need to win a best-of-3 to qualify for LAN. That won't come today. That would come tomorrow or the next day. Same with G2. But then the opposite is true when you lose. The moment that you hit 2 wins or 2 losses, you will play a best-of-3. So the loser here will play a best-of-3, and if they lose that, they're done. They're out.
Yep.
They go home. If you win this match and you play a best-of-3 and you win that best-of-3, congratulations, you've made main stage. We will see you in a couple days.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe every team is playing on main stage. There's a lower bracket, so there's a...
But they still do all make it to main stage.
Fair enough.
Okay. So still going to be opportunities to play. If you can get 3 wins here in the Swiss stage, you will be in front of that crowd, which is really exciting. It's the first time we've had a lower bracket at a major, which is really, really cool. Big fan of the format change that we've had. This round has started off quite slow, and I think it will continue to be slow as BDS has gone for a full anchor setup here on the bottom floor of Bank, meaning there's not much for G2 to contest through the first 2 minutes, but the util work has gone well so far, clearing out the Goyos, clearing out the Arunis. Once these get dealt with, the main focus will be P4 here on the server stairs, and they've already started to toss utility his direction. It can be really awkward at times to get this player out, especially with that hatch. The Aruni gate can be turned on and off based on a player standing on the little cart right beneath that. Don't think anyone's doing it here, but always an opportunity to play mind games with the attackers.
P4 is at the top of blue stairs, and Stompin is watching very intently for a mistake to be made so that he can capitalize off of it. A drone will come in as the Nitro Cell was thought about by P4. Robbie takes down Blaz.
Wow.
This happens yet again. The Maverick dropped by G2, and history will repeat itself.
That's the only hard breach, Parker. They're not getting the server hatch open now, which is devastating.
The last time this happened, there were can openers. As insurance, they are all gone. So there's no way, no salvation for G2. They're just gonna have to take gunfights directly, and that's a massive loss of utility and a huge loss for map control on the side of G2.
It's only 1 kill, but that might be enough to just send the rounds. Now G2 have to go for alternate angles. One of those is gonna be Garage, but BDS already have a read on it. Big kill from Lasmu, likely to come in quickly.
Now hear the smoke. Lasmu needs to conceal himself because guess what? There's a Glaz on the hunt. He'll smoke his way up. Zalimao pushes ever forward. I don't know if that logic bomb will be heard as Robbie sits tucked in behind the van, behind the truck, assisted by that bulletproof camera, but this is gonna be a hard spot for Robbie to hide in. P4 kills Doki. Down goes Stompin. Loira on the board, though, as Freck has been dropped. Stompin might still be retrievable as Loira looks to fight his way out of Elevator. 10 seconds remain. Alimao has the all clear from Garage, but he's the only one left as Robbie has a huge round. First kill, last kill, and BDS move to match point.
And I really do think it all comes back to that first kill. Robbie, such a smart decision to push up and kill the Maverick. Obviously, they know the Mav is opening the hatch because P4 is able to call it from the stairs. Robbie makes that play, and once the Maverick is dead, that push has to pivot. We were watching Alimao over towards Garage, but the rest of the team were dropping. We had 1 dropping Elevator, 1 dropping Gold, and 1 walking down the main stairs. A couple of kills did go the way of G2. Loira was able to hit some nice shots in the midst of that, but it ultimately just was not enough. Very obvious where that push was coming in on the side of G2. BDS read into it. They played their positions, and Robbie just did ridiculous things from inside the site. Huge round, a huge game coming out from the Italian.
It's a rough game for 2 superstars on the side of G2. Stompin having a pretty sluggish performance.
Yeah.
Attackers have discovered the
I mean,
location of a bomb.
you're inexperienced. You don't have a ton of reps on LAN. You're going to have games like this. It's better to get them out of your way early than in a devastating best-of-3 or even on the main stage.
Yeah, it's super interesting, too, because in this match, we've got the oldest pro player and the youngest pro player in Siege right now going head-to-head, Virtue and Stompin.
If you make a joke about my age again, I will.
I wasn't going to. Don't worry. I'll limit it to 1 a game here. But, yeah, you know, part of that does come back to the experience point that you had just brought up, right? Virtue has been to so many of these events, a lot of them with G2. He's won some as well. Now Doki, or Stompin, this is only his 2nd event coming through internationally with this team. Went to EWC over the summer, and now here, of course, in Munich. I would say likely to be in Paris for the World Championships in February too, but still have to qualify for that if you're G2.
Let's test my memory here. And I might need a leg up from production. If G2 lose this map, I still think they're 92%.
Yes, I think it's 92.
92% chance of making the 6 Invitational.
They should be there.
99% if G2 wins, but again, Bank is not a map where either side should have a dedicated leg up, so G2 have their work cut out for them. They cannot just rest on their laurels. They cannot allow Bank to do its thing to help them. They will have to fight their way out of this situation. And there's been some weaknesses here shown by G2. BDS came prepared with a fresh set of eyes, fresh set of strats, and Robbie is doing what Robbie needs to do. Surprise for me, Jesse, has been Virtue. Virtue has been very consistent so far. He did enter as the lowest rated player on the team, but not that far removed from the rest of the supporting cast on the side of BDS. Now, things might get a little tough for the remaining minute and 40 in this round. BDS can taste a win, but they'll have to do it without Freck, as they're down 1 and G2 holds the advantage for the remainder of the round.
Yeah, surprising to see him go down. He was just playing CEO, but I think maybe moving a little bit too much and does go down at some point. Might open the door a bit now for G2. You can tell this wants to be a square take. Alamau does not have the diffuser, Blaz does, and he's playing on the window, so it's possible Alamau is just going to be trying to cover from square. You can back up and hold a really strong angle onto kind of the elevator door from that position, and that might be more of the game plan for Alamau. Only 2 smokes being held by Doki to cover this. Blaz brought the flashes on Thermite, so they've got to be really careful about when they use these, when they go for their push.
Hibana now just watching to see if there's anybody playing by. Trading, there was. He knew it, but Robbie sends Aloyra to the Shadow Realm with that one. A nice play in Robbie now with 14 kills has looked very hard to challenge. The guns on the side of G2 just being outclassed when dealing with that young player. Now it's P4 in a really tough spot. Why? That exothermic charge not just taking out the reinforced wall, but also the soft wall, and he's got the Zofia on Repel. Patience here can be rewarded. No! Blaz on drones. Alimau guns him down, but still a big advantage for BDS. They've equalized on numbers, and now a rush in from G2 as they are running out of time. Doki will blind most of this bomb site with Candelas and has to follow up. He's still got 2 smokes in pocket. Bulletproof cameras giving information for BDS as they just need to ride out the final 10 seconds, and victory is theirs. Alimau with the diffuser. He'll get the job done on Delasmu. Diffuser going down. Where is the coverage? Can BDS be compelled into action? Doki will gun them down, stomp and dropped onto the ground, and Robbie will need to clutch. Things look dire for BDS. Robbie will now ascend the stairs, looking to pad his stats and go well above the 14 that he has at this point. A very impressive tally, collecting what remains of stomping, but the outside repel might prove to be too much. BDS still have 1 more round if they drop it here. G2 eager to close this gap, sitting and waiting for Robbie to emerge with a single point of HP, but G2 does not need to be forefront of the action. They just need to wait out this clock. Alimau will swing on in, down goes Robbie, and we've got a 12th and final round of regulation.
What a G2 way to win a round, Parker. That wasn't plan A, that wasn't plan B, C, or D. I think we're at E or F on the plans there for G2. They had to go for a lot of adaptations, but in the end, it did all come together. We saw the planter go down, right? The Thermite being taken out by a huge swing from P4. Alamau was supposed to be watching that from square, but I think he was watching the janitor hall, which left the breach completely open for P4. He makes that move, and once P4 gets the kill, I'm thinking to myself, all right, that's got to be the round. Alamau's only hope is to walk in the breach, plant down that Osa shield, and try to get a plant down behind it, but Alamau's no ordinary captain, man. He takes it, goes deep into sight, hunts for some kills, gets the fuse kit down at the last possible second, somehow doesn't get denied from down below. Oh, ridiculous round coming out from G2, but they will stay alive now on Bank. 1 more round to stay alive and force it into overtime. Get themselves a second opportunity, because this could be a huge bounce back win up against BDS.
Yeah, we could be 3 minutes away from a victory, or we could be about 15. It really just depends on how deep we go into this. I like the Scopos being brought out by Lasmo. Lasmo had some really good moments in that SSG game yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But he has been very, very quiet today. Again, it just depends on the role that he is playing, that he has not been relied upon by this BDS team. In the mid-round, though, Lasmo dying early in a handful of rounds as both an attacker and now a defender has been a bit of a problem. Freck too, frankly. Freck should be playing more of a sheltered role with the operators he's playing and on the way he's been holding map control, and yet he still finds himself getting targeted by G2 very early.
Yeah, Lasmo loves the Scopos on this bomb site. He's played it in 2 of his last 3 times playing this site, including the one that we just saw. So the 2 attempts that he had on this bomb site coming into this game previously through stage 2 up against G2. They should be ready for this strategy, but still doesn't mean it's going to be easy to clear out. He's playing top floor along with Virtue and Janitor, and of course, Robbie playing around square as well. So they've got a lot of support in the top floor, and G2, frankly, don't seem so interested in clearing it. They got Stompin' up there, but the brunt of this push is going to be led by Doki in through lobby.
Probe the target.
I was wondering if Doki was going to use one of his death marks. He just walks in and kills Freck. Okay, again, Freck playing just slightly off-site. Freck better help the team via gadgets, because in terms of killing, he's really not putting his name on the scoreboard enough. Thank goodness for players like Robbie, though, as he picks up his 15th kill. Lasmu dead as well. Virtue dead. Stompin' asserting himself. What is happening to this BDS defense right now? Robbie finds another, but that's all he will get, and suddenly P4 is in a 1v3 with 1 minute and 20 left. I mean, Robbie is still retrievable, providing P4 doesn't get baited into a trap. His position known now by the logic bomb, as that will expend the gadgetry from the Dokkaebi in the hands of Stompin, who is leveling up. Stompin's at a couple multi-kill rounds. What more can he do here? Robbie retrieved, so the 3v1 becomes a 3v2. Alimount with Diffuse Kit. Punishing P4 is Stompin, who finds a 3rd. Now it's all up to Robbie. The jig is up. They know that Robbie is still alive because the round hasn't ended just yet, and a 4K from Stompin to send us to overtime.
Nicely played coming in from the young gunner on G2, the king, as I believe they say. Big 4K coming in, and he's working off his teammates really well in there, lurking in from the other side of the bomb site. Most of that push coming in from sort of that lobby side. Did a really great job. Doki actually did use one of those death marks to try to track somebody, but it wasn't the player he took a gunfight with. Instead, that got immediately canceled by a mute jammer. He goes in, finds the entry anyways, and after Doki gets that opening kill, it is all Stompin' all day long. Finally starting to see, I think, what was promised from this guy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but BDS called their timeout and have only won a single round since then.
Oh, Jesus, that's
like
true,
the
yeah.
That's like the opposite of the purpose of a timeout. The idea behind a timeout is that you call it and then you do better. BDS statistically have been doing worse since their timeout than prior to. Now, mind you, it could also be the sides. I know that we said that this is a map where sides shouldn't really help you. It's 50-50 for both sides. But right now, we are on track for a 4-2 favoring attacker half on both sides of the coin.
Surprising, because when these two played Bank in the EML playoffs, it was very slightly defender-sided. The first half went 3-3, and then G2 got 4 defenses in the second half. So we might expect this to go a little bit more defender-sided, but also I think with repetition, you do start to see stats start to change when you play the same opponent over and over on the same map. Teams want to adapt, they want to fix their mistakes, they want to improve, and that often results in different scenarios playing through. BDS will go top floor as their first bomb site in overtime. Uncharacteristic, most teams would choose to start down in the basement, but because they lost basement the first time they played it, I guess BDS just thinking this changeup will favor them a bit more. Running, I think, that lineup with the Clash, with the Maestro that they played most recently in round number 11. They lost that round, but remember, it got really scrappy. Ended up being one that they certainly could have gotten if Robbie had gotten that denial from below.
A fun little quirk here. First Bloods had very little impact on who won the round in the first half. In the second half, the team that struck first won every single round. So if you are defending like BDS currently is, then that trend line continues. That means G2, if they can strike first, will be in great shape. Doki getting 3 First Bloods in the second half as he has come online, leading his team with 10 kills, but still trailing both Virtue and Robbie in terms of frags. I will go back and say G2, a very equal team, 7 kills the lowest, 10 kills the highest. They are all in lockstep. You need big performances from all of these players, and frankly, win or lose, everybody on G2 is pretty evenly balanced.
Pretty rare to see Alamau coming in on the buck on this bomb site, but he's doing his best work from down below. He dealt that damage early to P4 inside of Janitor. And they'll know he's down there. That's why Robbie's taking the position that he has. But Droned Out will have to move as Alamau chases him up these steps. We get to that minute 20 mark, Parker, and these players on G2 are going to start to want to move.
Blaz rushing his way up. Freck, the leadoff kill on to Doki. Down goes Blaz. Virtue's been favoring this elevator. He goes undroned. And now a fire hose of bullets will come out as Robbie gets on the board. 17 kills for Robbie. At this point in time, easily battling for most kills here at Munich. Freck will find his second, and Stompin outside will not get in the building. A flawless round by BDS. Robbie finds his second kill. He's on 18 in total, and the trend line will continue. Whoever strikes first wins the round. BDS are happy to hear that.
Yeah, and again, comes down to one of those G2 rounds where they are relatively separated going into that push. You've got Blaz walking up lobby stairs, loses his gunfight to Virtue in the elevator shaft. You've got Alamau walking up the main stairs, loses his gunfight to Robbie up above. And then you've got Doki with the fuse kit swinging in CEO. So 3 completely different angles where nothing goes their way. Loira, a 4th angle, pushing in through square, and gets stalled out by Lazmu at a pretty tough spot. So, unfortunately with those pushes from G2, when they're not able to trade when they play that style of a siege, gives BDS the advantage here in overtime. You can see how good they're feeling. Robbie, the key focal point for this team all game long. He was the highest rated player the last time we had a major 1 year ago in Montreal.
You called him the Italian Stallion.
I'm not the first to say that about him, but
no, I'm aware.
It's a good name.
They used to call Sylvester Stallone the Italian Stallion.
I don't know who that is.
That's just not true. You absolutely know who Sylvester Stallone is.
Is he an actor?
He's Rambo.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. No, I don't.
Jesse.
I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm not a movie guy. I'm a gamer.
Alberta has yet to get electricity.
Oh, buddy. We got another top floor defense, Parker, and we might have a very fast conclusion to this game because I'm looking at BDS rocking an Amaru, a Grim, a Blitz. This could be a very explosive execute, especially given that P4 has the defuse kit. He's going to want to go straight into the site with this under the cover of smoke. Robbie on the perfect operator to cover him with this Glaz as well. It's going to be an explosive push. The question is, does it come now or do they wait and set up for a minute 30 first?
Well, First Blood doesn't really have much of an impact when these teams are on these current sides. Doki will find his 4th First Blood of this matchup. Freck guns down Doki, so it's traded right back. Freck slightly overperforming his numbers when it comes to first engagements. I know that I was a bit critical of him just a couple rounds ago, but I don't know what's changed in his deployment, but doing much better and shutting down Doki, who has an active gadget in those Zoto canisters. Doki loves to play operators with active gadgets, especially in this matchup, and he's been dying with a lot of utility in pocket. That's not ideal for G2.
No, it's not great, but you're still, I think, happy with the trade. You took down the Glaz. That was supposed to be the coverage. Now if you're going to go for this Amaru smoke plant, it gets a little bit harder to stop G2 from just stepping up, denying it with a Nitro Cell, firing into the smoke blindly. You're going to have to really rely on Freck with these Bs, maybe even Virtue from Square.
The Glaz goes down next, traded out immediately onto Virtue. Lazmu trades himself with Loira still alive. All of this action happening with players still on rappel from BDS, not yet in the bomb site. Freck and P4, the last 2 that remain, up against Loira and Stompin. Loira and Stompin now both at 10 kills, trailing Doki in terms of frags. P4 was the highest rated player on BDS, and he is now the 2nd lowest rated player, just ahead of Lazmo. So again, small sample size, and P4 should not be the guy getting all the kills on your team. That is just not his role. That is not his application. Again, playing on this Amaru with the Gara hook, but at this point in time, close enough to the bomb site where he can do some serious damage, but won't really be using much utility, I suspect.
The 2 youngest players left alive on G2 to save them in this game. Otherwise, it'll be an 8-6 BDS victory to push G2 to the brink in the Swiss phase. P4's deep.
Just taking an awful lot of damage. Freck is outside on the window looking to go positive. 9 kills. 20 seconds left to push that up to 11 and a swing in, and he's dealt with by Loira. First Blood for G2 is successfully converted, and we will need all 15 to settle this interregional matchup between the European squads.
I really like that G2 didn't panic in that round, Parker. It got a little bit crazy in the early game. You saw a lot of kills being traded back and forth. P4, an interesting journey through that round. He starts on the Amaru. The plan is to jump in CEO window with a plant. Ends up going in through the stock window. Pushes all the way down to the bottom floor. Then's got to come back up. He's not really with the rest of his team as the most of that chaos kind of goes down. And, you know, people talk about P4 a lot. He's one of the most discussed players inside of EML. And sometimes that does come in the form of criticism. And sometimes that's about his positioning, and I think that round was really a tough one for him, where unable to really be with his team through the brink of it, and even in a 2v2 a little bit solo inside the site.
Well, I love to talk about BDS and G2. Let's take a moment to discuss what's going on over on the B stream. For those of you that are dialed in here, there are 2 streams that will be running until we lose enough teams that all of them can be squeezed onto just a single stream. So if you do want to know what's happening on the B stream, I have an update for you. Game 1 has officially finished, and Weibo toppling Shopify Rebellion 7-4,
wow,
which has put the Rebellion in a position where they need to win a best of 3 or they will go home. Weibo needs a best of 3 to qualify for main stage. And we'll be hearing that an awful lot today. Best of 1s will continue onward for a little bit longer, but we'll be moving to best of 3s later this afternoon.
And we're not going back. This is the last best of 1 day that we'll have here at the Major. This game and the next game on both streams, and then it's all BO3s until we get to the BO5 finals next Sunday. So that'll be a really exciting finish to this excellent event here. 7-7, round 15 between BDS and G2. It is do or die, and we've gone down to the basement, finally from BDS, going to what is thought to be the strongest bomb site for defenders on Bank. You got to think that gives them the edge, but G2 have been sharp when attacking this site so far. Top floor roam clear is going to be critical because Freck is playing up at the top floor, and he is all alone.
Reload. I mean, Freck has been playing a far less sheltered position on this top floor, Jesse, and he's been in the line of fire quite regularly. They'll use one of those death marks to track him down, or at least it looked like Doki was prepping that. Freck will get away through the lobby and look to link up with the rest of his teammates. The timer will begin to run, and he'll be tracked down by that death mark as it circles around him. He's trapped at this point in time inside of Tellers, not just nearby, but also above, and he's finished off by Doki. Doki and Freck have been on a constant collision course here, and Doki just continues to get the upper hand.
And that's expected when Doki is one of the best Deimos players in the world, and Freck is the primary roamer for BDS. You expect that engagement to come through, and frankly, it looks routine for Doki, but that is not easy as a Deimos player.
5th first blood for Doki through 15 rounds. That's quite the tally.
Wow.
But also, when BDS is defending and G2 are attacking, I would like to reiterate, the team that draws blood first has a 100% conversion rate. That means if you're a fan of G2, you're just crossing your fingers and hoping that that keeps up, because if so, that means an 8-7 victory for G2. So now it becomes incumbent upon BDS to change that trajectory, as they've got a minute to figure out what to do with G2's assault.
Yeah, it's going to be a chaotic end to the round, Parker, because I don't think BDS are looking to get aggressive in the 4v5. They still have really good utility in towards the bomb site, strong positioning in the basement as well. These hatches need to be dealt with. There's a mirror on the server wall, which is going to be awkward to get through. You'll need the Habana to do something important with that.
It's just a moment of affection.
Yeah.
They just really wanted to just rub bodies in that corner. I was a little confused as to what they were thinking. Alimat will now assume the position behind the server rack. Smokes will go out. The Glaz will quarterback this offense, as there looks to be an opening for Blaz to walk that diffuser into the bomb site. Pugilism will reign the day as you wait out all of the utility from the defenders. Alimat slaughtering P4. The Hibana of Blaz charging in, but getting softened up by the gas. Where is G2 to get into position? Now it's Alimat to pick it up. He and Stompin are the last two left. Virtue takes him down. Stompin last man standing, but Ravi sends BDS away. Ride the Italian Stallion into a 2-1 score line for the Swiss group, and they are a single best of 3 away from the main stage as BDS takes it against G2 8-7.
It's not the same players we're used to seeing on this lineup, but this organization knows how to perform on a big stage. BDS looking so good against their European rivals. G2 came into this expecting to be the victors. They've won the last 2 games up against BDS, but not today. You see the smiles on their faces, and they know how well they just played that game. Wasn't flawless by either team, but I really do think it was a high-level match between these squads, and for both of them, they'll be looking dangerous heading deep into this tournament.
There's a lot of good teams that are 1 and 2 right now, Jesse.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, if you're down there in the lower bracket, we've got some 0-2 teams that are really good as well. It's going to be quite the gauntlet to run through this, I don't want to say lower bracket, but elimination bracket, I suppose you could call it. What a bounce back by BDS. Rematches always tend to favor the losers. And in this matchup between these two teams, BDS more often than not have been the loser.
Yep.
I mean, you can lose in EML, but I would say you're better served winning a matchup here. I will gladly take a victory in the playoffs at a LAN event over a single best-of-1 in EML.
For sure. A next little revenge tour from Virtue as well, playing his two former teams back-to-back last night and today. Lost the first one, but managed to get the W against G2. That's gotta feel good for the former player of that team.
Absolutely. 19 kills for Robbie, by the way, to settle that matchup. Good Lord. That's a high water mark for everybody. And I mean, Robbie also broke double digits in his very first matchup. Had a rough go of it against Team Secret, but you're gonna have off games, right?
For sure.
I think Stompin had a really slow start. Loira had a really slow start. Both of them ended up doing quite well by the end. But you do have to wonder if Loira and Stompin were a bit dialed in on those first 3 rounds. If we would have needed all 15, does G2 get out of this before going to overtime? Because they had to claw their way